Hi everyone, welcome to the tutorial on how to create a trinket dish. Now it's the same kind of process as our paint palette that you can see here, but without the divots. So the first thing that we're going to do is get yourself some clay. You're going to need a template of your chosen animal, a rolling pin, 2 wooden slats that are even, and some clay carving tools and a skewer. Now the first thing that you're going to do is knead the clay. This is also called wedging. So we need to make sure that the clay is nice and even in consistency so that when you are working with it, there's not going to be as many cracks. As you can see, I'm forming the clay into kind of a cube, slapping it into place, and you'll see me use the slats to kind of flatten those edges as well to form it into a cube. And you'll also notice later on that I start smoothing the cracks. Here I'm smoothing cracks, and this just helps prevent air pockets forming when you roll out the clay. So make sure that you do this on all sides that you can see cracks on. Next, you're going to take 2 even sized slats and you're going to use this as a guide for the thickness. Makes it about 1.5 centimeters thickness for this main part of the rolling pin. Just make sure that you're lifting and rotating your clay to prevent it sticking to the surface and dripping. If your template is a little bit fatter than it is long, then you might just need to try rolling your clay both vertically and horizontally. If you need your clay to be a little bit wider, you can use the handles as a guide to thin out your clay more, but this just keeps it as a workable thickness that will not break, about 1 centimeter. Now you're going to trim the clay just so that your template fits on it, and you can try rolling it out a little bit more. Just make sure that you smooth out any cracks or irregularities from your clay just to make sure that it's a nice smooth surface and there won't be any risk of cracking and snapping when it dries out. Now you're going to use your template on the clay to start carving out your trinket tray. So just showing you the different types of templates that I have here. For today I am going to be using the wombat as the trinket tray, and you'll see me do that in a moment. Just testing out the sizes at the moment. So just pressing down your template onto your clay, making sure it's nice and smooth on there. And then you're going to use a kebab skewer to trace the outline of your template. You are not carving it just yet, you will do that in a moment, but at the moment you're just carving along the outlines that you can see. The ones that are on the inside of the template, you can just press into the clay. You're not going to carve out those are more indented at this time. Now you're going to peel away your template and actually start carving out your trinket tray. The next thing you're going to do is roll out some more clay, doing the same process we did at the start, to cut into even strips. I'm using the rolling pin handles as a guide, and then I'm going to be using a ruler, as you'll see in a second, and just using the width of the ruler as my first guide. Then you'll see me cut this ruler size in half. So just using the width of the ruler as a guide at the moment, and then marking halfway through that ruler. And then that's about 1 centimetre in the middle, and then 1 centimetre each side. So we're going to end up with 4 strips for our border, and that just makes sure that we have some spares just in case something goes wrong. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is actually start applying our border. So you can opt to put your border on the outside of your shape, and that just makes a shorter edge. For this tutorial, I'm actually going to be placing my edge on top of the silhouette base that I've made. Either way, you are going to have to cross hatch, but that might make the difference between cross hatching on the bottom of the strip or on the side of the strip. So just making sure that you're scoring both edges that are going to join. So scoring the base just around the edge, and also where you have indented those features, because there are going to be little strips to go into those sections, and you'll see that a little later on. So we cross hatch first by going on one angle, and then we work back in the opposite angle, and that's what makes it a cross hatch. The next thing I'm going to do is apply some slip, and slip is essentially our glue to stick two pieces of clay together. So the first thing you need to do when sticking two pieces of clay together is score both pieces that you are going to attach, and score the edges that are going to go together. And then the slip is what goes between them because it's the glue. So as you can see here, I'm placing the slip on top of the cross hatch that is on the base of my Trinket tray, and I'm going to do the same thing when I cross hatch for the actual strip. Now I'm going to place my border on top of my base. So now I'm just pushing it into the base. You can see that I'm using both cross-hatched edges, they're touching each other, and I'm just going to do that all the way around my base. You'll see me cut out some little strips to make up those feet, and as you can see here, the face and the jaw and the ears and things like that. You are now going to use your finger to now start smearing along the edge. Now you want to kind of go up and down to make sure that the edge is being smoothed across properly and that there's no gaps. Okay, so just making sure that on the inside edge and the outside edge you are smearing the clay down so that it goes over the joint and you can't see the joint anymore. You can also use a brush and a clay tool. That's actually called the boning edge of the clay tool because it's the wooden edge. And you can use that as an alternative or additionally to your finger to help kind of smear down the clay. So here I'm just showing you close-ups of the different types of ways to smooth out and join your pieces of clay. So I'm using my finger, I use the brush with some slip to help join up those edges and get rid of the cracks, and also using the clay boning end tool to smear the clay together. Just making sure that there are no joins that you can see anymore. And smoothing out the whole surface here, making it nice and even. And here is our end product ready to be dried out, fired, glazed and used. Enjoy!